Yeah, divide and conquer. I mean, and it's this is the thing, right? They don't have these beings that aren't us that wish to control us. They don't have any imagination, and we can see this by the movies, right? Look at the entertainment industry. Look at what they're putting out as movies and shows. That they're all rewrites. They're all just reimaginings of things that have already been written. There's nothing new, right? Music is just dead. There's definitely no. It's just like written by, I don't know, AI synthesizers. You know, these guys can't create anything. They can't. They can just destroy stuff. We create, so we can get out there and do things differently, which is what we have to do at the moment. That's why 2023 is the year of doing this, getting stuff done. Who knows? Maybe it is all under the Vatican. You know, we could get lucky, but I think it's more like we're going to get bits and pieces of the story, and I mean, we're working it out now, right? We're pretty much. I think we've done pretty well. You know, 3 years ago we didn't know about orphan trains, we didn't know about resets. It was just coming into the consciousness, right? All this kind of stuff. So it hasn't been that long, and I keep saying it, right? We were researching, and we came across resets, and we we're in the middle of making videos on resets and all this stuff, and then wouldn't you know it, we end up in the middle of one. So it is definitely the great unveiling, right? It is the apocalypse. This stuff is being shown to us at the time that we need to know about it. So there's more going on here. That, you know, everything's energy, right? You know, we're not slaves on a slave planet. We're not these beings that are stuck. You know, we can change things. We can change. We've just been believing someone else's version of reality, but now we're being shown what these people are. Right? Look out in the world. Everyone's being shown who these people who were making the decisions, who they are, and what they are, and what they get up to, right? And you know, their lack of morals, right? It's all being shown so that we can make better decisions. At the end, if this all gets shown and everyone realizes, oh my God, they're all this and that, and then they just go back to following them, well, that's their decision. They deserve whatever they get, right? So this is the thing. We're being shown all this, but we've got to use that information to do something. Right? We've got to make better decisions, ask better questions. You know, because if we ask a better question, get a better thought, you do a better action, get a better result, right? Get a better something, reality you can interact with. And that's all it is. That's why everything starts with, you know, the question. The quest is for the question. And so this is where we are, man. Like I said, it looks like 1870s, 80s. The orphans started coming in. I guess, you know, they cleaned up the cities enough by then. There was a bit of adult population. You know, the World's Fairs already started, but they sort of got the infant incubators. Then they started up all the factories and put all the children in there to work. Then they started up factory towns and populated them with orphans, sent orphans all across the country and everything as free labor to everyone. And now here we are, right? They started the schooling system. They started the medical system. You get the school system, which is indoctrination, and then you get university, where, you know, all these people go and get their higher, you know, learning and their education and that. And all they really are, that's just to keep an eye on everyone who's gone to school. They're just unpaid policemen for the controllers, because they'll sit there and they'll tell everyone, oh, unless you do this, you're wrong, and you have to do, you know, look at teachers, right? And so this is how they do it. That they don't have to be out there in the masses. They get us to police ourselves. You know, not us, but, you know, the people who don't see it and can't think, and they think they're in the right by running around telling everyone, you must obey the system. I mean, they're everywhere, right? So it's kind of quite an ingenious plan. And of course, we were all born into this, so we didn't have a lot of choice either. But I think we've done all right. But here we are again, like I said, 2023. It's time to take what we've learned over the last couple of years and start implementing it into the real world, because whatever we do from here is either take us towards the system or away from it. And that's it. There's no middle ground. You know, whatever our futures are, if they're tied up in the system, well, then we're going back and we're supporting the system. And this is the system that we complain about, that we don't want, that enslaves us, that's run by all these people. So that's where we are. We need to decide what we want and how we do that without the system, right? Like if we go and build something and then we hook into the power grid and pay the power, bill, we're not moving forward, right? And of course, this has to be done. You may have to do it incrementally, but ultimately, we need to make plans that we don't need the system for anything, because we've got each other. We've got all the answers already. We just need to loosen the constraints. That's all we need. What about Karen syndrome, right? And the problem is these people, these Karen types, they will go out and they will just yell at the world and tell it to change. Where people with morals and that and brains, we don't go around yelling at people. And when people yell at us, we try and make the best of the situation. So we don't tend to stand up and tell these people to shut up like we probably should, especially at this point of the game. I think if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Beat the robber barons. Yes, exactly. It's funny. When I was looking into the orphans, it was all happening in the Gilded Age. I think it was 1870 to 1900, which was the biggest push of the orphans and kids in factories. So guess who funded and bankrolled the Gilded Age? All the children, all the orphans were doing all the work. So all these fat controllers could sit in stolen mansions and get clothes made for them and food brought to them. Think, who are we? Where did we come from? What's happening? Is this all just a repeat? Because Mind Unveiled a few weeks ago came out with the Cabbage Patch Kids, which is another facet of story. And then next to that, we had, it's been around for a few years, but they kind of relaunched it about a month ago, which is these ectolife, artificial wombs where you can grow babies. Very reminiscent of the baby incubators that we see in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And then we've also got stories of baby farms around that same time. And now they seem to be trying to bring out baby farms. And of course, this is all linked again to what we see in the bigger world, right? With all this, people don't know what gender they are, right? And what's a woman and all this kind of stuff. And all this weirdness of, chest feeders, right? And men can have babies and all this kind of stuff. If you extrapolate this out a bit, they're trying to push for this is all so that you get couples and together that don't or can't have kids, right? So then they all become these incubator kids, which means that you can genetically modify these kids, right? They can make them whatever. So this could be another great reset, right? Another dumbing down, because it looks like we were shrunk in the last reset. And we have all these stories of genetic engineering, modification. What we now know is genetic modification. But 30, 40 years ago, reading the Bible, it didn't sound like that because we didn't have the tech. But now that's what they were doing, right? They were playing with the DNA. And of course, if people aren't having natural babies and that, it's that movie, Brave New World, right? That's the next step. And then after that comes the Matrix. So there you go. My little view on sort of where we are and what's going on, because there's that saying, history never repeats. That's wrong. That's a lie. History does repeat. And that's what we're seeing right now. We've been studying the last reset and we're in the new reset now. So we've been studying the last time this happened to get ourselves ready to deal with this time when it's happening. So we're pretty lucky, right? Most of the realm don't know what's going on. They're out there in confusion. And at least we got a few answers, but lots more questions to ask.